All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Go Follow Up podcast. I am here today with Natalie Ayala.
Okay.
All right, and we are in her family's restaurant,
Yes.
Tarta.
Tarta, that's right.
Tarta.
And the full name is Tartareperia.
Okay.
So, but we're in the process of separating, and you said it so perfectly.
I said it as best as I could.
You said it perfectly.
How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Wonderful.
It's been a crazy couple days already this past weekend, just with some of the events as I was sharing with you earlier.
Right.
With the restaurant and stuff, but doing good. There's some positive things happening.
Oh.
So that's always exciting.
Well, we're about to dive into that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we're here at your family's restaurant.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I've reached out to you. I asked you if you would come on and do the podcast. And initially, what I thought was that you were starting a fitness. Like, I thought you were opening up like a gym or like a nutrition center or something along those lines.
Right.
Turns out that you're actually doing a lot here with your family's restaurant. So, you know what? Before we even get to that, why don't you tell us a little bit about...
Ooh, people are excited
People
here.
are excited. They have fun. That's what happens here at Tarta.
That's right.
People have a good time. There's laughs. There's screams. There's pots and pans banging.
We're open for business, so that's what you're hearing.
That is what you're hearing.
We're excited.
So before we get into that, why don't you give us a little bit of background on who you are and how you got to where you are in this moment. Just like, just a little background, where you from and this type of stuff,
Okay, so I don't know how far back you're trying to make me go. Like where was I born?
Take it way back in the days.
Way back.
Way back.
Well, originally, my mother's from Venezuela. My father's Irish American. Okay. And I was born in Philly, grew up Philly, suburban Philadelphia. Then we moved to Jersey. I was 8th grade or so.
Okay.
And then went to college at Arcadia. Okay, Arcadia.
Oh, Arcadia! I used to live around the corner from there.
Oh, really?
I lived on Cheltenham Ave.
No way.
Yes, that's where I grew. How long? I grew up there. I moved from there when I was 12. That's when we moved to Jersey. Yeah.
No way. So did you go to Glenside Elementary? Where did you go?
No, I went to a private elementary school.
Oh, excuse me?
I know. It was right over there on Ogons.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was my church's school. It was It was a church school.
Church school. Okay, perfect. So, but you went to, that's probably better time too. Because Cheltenham's kind of nice, but then there's certain areas that are and especially now, it's a little... it's a little iffy. It's a little iffy.
Certain parts,
exactly. Certain
You're
parts.
absolutely right. Though.
So that's why I feel like private school was probably the better choice. So I went to Arcadia, and then during college, and I was explaining to you, I got to study abroad and just traveled around Europe for a little while. Okay. I also, because my mother's from Venezuela, I went to Venezuela many times. I actually studied abroad there too. I did a semester during a summer break. Oh. And then I haven't been back probably since 2007, 2008, because I was explaining to you before about kind of the political climate. But kind of fast forward, during that, I guess my last, I know it's going to sound crazy, 10 years of my life, right? Okay. After college.
Okay. They go by fast.
Right.
Don't feel bad, because they definitely go by fast.
It's so crazy. I can't think about now, where I am. And it's funny, even, I think my life has gone 100, from 0 to 100 in the last, I'm say year and a half. Okay. But getting to the point of the fitness, before that, I'm in the military, I'm married, I have 2 kids, I work for Wells Fargo, and during all this time, my husband always talked a lot about how he, wanted to always own his own business. Okay. And to tell you the truth, for me, growing up, even my family were all okay, just get a job and take care of your bills and make sure you have a good credit score and nothing too risky, and I think that when you owning a business is I was terrified, no way, why would I risk getting a paycheck every week or 2 weeks, to doing something that you don't even know the outcome. Right. So obviously that's changed, and the reason why that's changed is my best friend actually from college, who lives in Rhode Island, she reached out to me and was hey, I'm jerking the Shakeology, and I'm trying these workout programs, and it comes with a nutrition plan. And the maker of Shakeology is Beachbody, and a lot of people know Beachbody because of Insanity or P90X, Shaun T kind of thing. Okay. So I was okay, I don't believe in diets. I'm a very don't restrict me with food, because I like food, right?
Who doesn't like food?
Who doesn't like food, right? But it's a balance. It's not go crazy and like, so for me, I was like, okay, whatever. But I was always tired. And I really thought at that time, it was like a year and a half ago, I'm like literally exhausted all the time. I'm like, wow, this can't be normal. Like maybe it's just because I have kids. I'm like, I just chalk it up to that.
Right.
I work a ton of hours and maybe it's because of that. So I started really kind of taking care of myself. And I decided to take on, kind of focus more on not just myself, like taking care of myself, with nutrition and working out, but I really wanted to help other people do the same. So I was I'm still part of this Beachbody community, and it really opened my mind to a world I didn't even know existed. And I know I'm about to say personal development. Like, what is that? Like, really, like, becoming really self-aware and digging deep and saying, well, things that I thought were impossible are actually possible, right? And so that's kind of like, just to fast forward, because I don't want to bore you to death with all the details.
No.
But, a lot of the way I grew up, too, spiritually, I'm Buddhist, and my parents are, too, and we kind of just grew up that way. So kind of the way we think about life is like we see them as, our problems as opportunities, right? To kind of really change and not change, I wouldn't say, but like become better people, right? And so dig
absolutely.
deeper, right? So like when instead of looking, because I feel like if you're always looking at everything that goes on with a heavy cloud, like, a dark cloud above you, this is so sad. Why do things happen to me? Things don't happen to you. Like, if you want to look at it that way, guess what? It's always going to be that way.
Right.
But if you choose to have a different perspective, then you can see that problem as an opportunity to kind of like make an inner transformation, right? So I feel like, and that's all to say that this community kind of broadened my knowledge of what actual transformation looks like in your life in something more tangible. Meaning, like right now for me, I'm probably like a lot of Americans have a lot of student loan debt, right?
Right.
So one of the things I think that I realized that I'm so fearful of being an entrepreneur is like, I need to pay my bills. Like, we cannot mess around. Like, you got to pay your student loans. And if you want to even have a life, if you want to if you want to buy a house, then you better pay your bills. Like, what do you want me to do? Not pay my bills?
Student loans.
Those
that's
student
a
loans.
whole nother.
Yeah,
I could get onto that.
we could
for days, but
we could.
That's a whole nother thing.
That's true.
So that's interesting. You talked about shifting your, your perspective and talking about your problems as opportunities. So you just told me about how you didn't grow up, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna always one day open my own business, and very like traditional, go to school, get a good job, have a good credit score,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So what made you shift your perspective and actually enter the entrepreneur space?
So part of that journey of taking care of myself, right? So worrying about my nutrition, just being more aware of that, right? Mm-hmm. Working out, like it's like a natural high. It literally makes you feel like you can do anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that coupled with personal development, like just literally every single day. I told you this over the phone. Like, I'm obsessed with Eric Thomas. Freaking love E.T. I'm like, every single day I listen to his podcast, like from the beginning. And now I probably have to pay for it. Like, I was looking for yours, actually. Well, we could talk about that later.
Right.
But, so for me, I think that, and then also some type of spiritual practice. Like, it could be anything. I think sometimes people think of spirituality and they're like, oh my God, I'm like, oh, you're religious? Like, no. It's just, I feel like it's giving yourself a chance to, like, I don't know, clear your mind.
Right.
And it could be meditation. I mean, it could be you go to church, like something that gives you hope, that makes you feel good. It's like I have a purpose in life.
Right, absolutely.
So I feel like all those three things together for me is like power. Like I feel like I can like do, literally, I feel like, oh my God, I can run the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe I can't, but that's how I feel. Right. You know what I mean? And I think that when you have that positive outlook, for me, all those three things together, and I never really experienced that until this year. Like if I'm not good, it's because I didn't do my, my spiritual practice, whatever it is that I need to do, on a daily basis. I didn't listen to some positive words when I wake up. Right. Or, I didn't read something, like I need, or listen to some music. So I like that too. But all those three things, like I already know what kind of day I'm going to have, And if I need to like switch it at any instant, I know what I need to do. Right. So though that kind of, like I said, that kind of opened, like just being deep for a second, like that really made me self-aware. Like I don't believe that I'm able to actually see this mountain of money and like debt and think that I can actually get over it. And the only way that I will ever get rid of it is if I do something that, or my family, and my husband really talk, like literally my husband was like, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And
I like that guy. I like that attitude.
He's just always talked about it. And so I'm not kidding. I'd be like, I don't know about this. And I get but it's just fear. It was just fear.
Really?
And then it was funny because one day I'll never forget, this is like I told you, now being a part of this community consistently and things like that and hearing like, yeah, you can do anything you want to do. I'm like, what do you mean? I could actually get rid of my debt? Because I would use my spiritual practice for a lot of other areas of my life. But I'm like, I guess that's just like, I don't know if you've ever heard the term karma, but it's like, that's just my thing. Like, that's my thing that I'm going to have a challenge with. And it's crazy because my husband has a different type of challenge, right? And so, I don't know if it's getting too deep now, getting all philosophical, but this is the type of stuff I think about. Especially now, I'm a little older, I'm like,
speaking my language.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We get real deep too. But yeah, just really like, thinking like this really huge mountain of a problem, I feel like I'm never going to be able to overcome. And I almost feel like I never tackled it. Like I just, like I said, in all areas of my life, I've been able to accomplish a lot. Like at least for who I am and where I came from, I feel like I've been able to do some really cool things. But why can't I overcome that? And we talked about this on the phone too. We said, why not? Why? So that's when I had that question. It was funny. One day in the car, it was like a switch. My husband was like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? When did all of a sudden did you become fearless?
Right.
And like, but I realized that it's doing these things consecutively over time. And of course, I'd be a little more disciplined. I'm not going to pretend and lie to you and be like, oh, I'm so perfect every day. Because let's be honest, I'm a human. And sometimes I do feel we have our moments. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to be more consistent. And I feel like if I was more, I feel like I would grow faster. If I was more disciplined, I would, a lot of other things in my life would be taken care of. But that's all to say now that this restaurant kind of opened the doors for the rest of my family to own now. My husband has his flooring company as well. Okay. It's called Freedom Flooring Solutions, with a little plug in there for that. Of course. He does some really cool epoxy. I don't know if you know what epoxy is. It's kind of like, you know epoxy, yeah. So epoxy, concrete overlays, pretty much like doing something decorative, that'll increase the value of your home. Right. We have this restaurant too. It's a Venezuelan restaurant in Fishtown, Philadelphia. Around this area, it's really awesome because it's kind of like hipsterish, kind of young professionals. Yeah. So people appreciate something new. Definitely. It's a very good area. Definitely. We still have some growing to do. We're a little, we're still baby steps here. It's been taking off for the last couple of years, this area. Absolutely. It's growing. If you go around here, it's incredible. Absolutely. Used to be the Badlands, and now look at it, right? And it's funny because just a few blocks, like any direction is still, but it's still getting better. That's how Philadelphia is. Yeah, it's how it is, though. It is. That's so true. You're in a different neighborhood. Yeah, it's so true. But what's cool is that, like, the new construction and stuff like that, it's really just like, it's just giving it such a different look, even some of the combination of like the older buildings plus the new stuff, it looks really cool. Yeah. So it's definitely a great area for this to kind of flourish. And then my father and my other uncle, who's part of this business too, they have a deli at the Camden Aquarium, Baines. Okay. Doing amazing. All right. So it's like really, it's funny because I feel like we needed like so many of these things. Like everyone has a different experience in my family with this restaurant, but like it's kind of, even my parents are like, yeah, why not? Like, I don't understand why we didn't do this before. Wow. And my parents are in their 60s. Like, it's like... It's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. So I feel like, now I'm like, I told my husband, it's funny, like we were breaking it down, like, okay, how much money you gotta make this week? Right. It's the only way that we're gonna be able to overcome that debt. And now I see it. Now I'm like, no, we're gonna do it. Right. Like, it's too easy. Like, I already know. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be hard. I'm sure some days I'm gonna be like, why? What do I got to do to continue? Like, why do I got to do to keep fighting? You know what I mean? And absolutely. Like, so that's a lot I said there, but yeah, that's all good though, man. That's it's a lot of interesting things that you said in there, and one of which was you were talking about your spirituality. Yeah. And you were saying how you applied it to a lot of different areas in your life. Was it a thing did you apply it to money, or was it like money and spirituality should be separate? Because that's like a thing that like people have. That's a really good point. I think that in Buddhism though, like, you don't really, everything is a reflection of you. Like everything in your life at the end of the day is a reflection of this belief, this limiting belief, something we can relate to, words that are easy to relate to, that if you have this limiting belief, like it really is the root cause of a lot of your unhappiness or suffering, we would usually use that word. Right. And if you understand, like for me, it was like, being all deep now. Oh, snap. is that, just not feeling good enough, not feeling like I'm worthy of that.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
When I worked so freaking hard, I'm freaking halfway through my second master's. Like, why not?
A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. But nobody can give you that. You have to find it yourself.
Right.
And I think it's only through those obstacles that you're able to really like, I'll tell you the story, really. I had this very challenging supervisor. Before this position here, so I don't say too much about.
Not too much.
Yeah, not too much. Just challenging, right?
Right.
But he didn't have like all the, I wouldn't say social skills, but it was hard for him to be more of a people person.
Okay.
And for me, I care a lot about people. Like, it was hard for me to be with somebody that was just like, just didn't think about that. Like, it's your birthday, and not just me, because we were both supervisors together, but he was my direct supervisor.
Right.
So we had a huge team of people, like 20 people, that we were responsible for. So I think being around him really made me realize, like, I realized finally that you have to value yourself. I wanted someone to tell me, oh, you're doing a good job, from him, right? You're doing a good job. Yeah, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
If you are always going to wait outside yourself for someone to tell you something, or for something to happen, or for opportunity to knock at your door,
absolutely,
you're going to be waiting forever. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like a wake-up call. And so now, I have a lot of appreciation for that experience, because if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have what I have now, especially the job that I have. I really am grateful for being where I am, and that's not necessarily the family business. Of course, I'm happy about that, but I'm talking about my career,
right,
because
absolutely.
I'm still not like in it yet. We didn't make it yet. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna work, at the family business,
right.
But we're working on that. So, but yeah, so I think that's the point. If you really want to make things happen, you really have to believe in yourself. And if you don't, then start small. Okay, I want to achieve, I want to wake up early in the morning. Like, people they think that they, successful is these humongous, amazing things that you're supposed to achieve.
Absolutely.
How do you think those people do it? How do you think these amazing athletes make it happen? Mm-hmm. They start small. Like, every single small effort every day, waking up at a certain time every day. I'm going to make sure I take care of my health. I'm going to make sure that I make a list of everything that I need to get done. Like, start
just
working on
laying those bricks.
Yep.
One at a time.
One at a time.
And it's true, people think of things and they get overwhelmed and they can talk themselves out of it. So I know exactly, what you're saying.
Yeah.
But let me switch gears for 1 second. And so getting back to Tarta, all right, we were talking a little bit before and you were telling me what you do. You wear a lot of hats within this business. So what has you, where you're at right now, what has you really excited?
Like, as far as the business, or as far as life?
What's got you excited? Life, business, are they intertwined somewhere? What's like really got you excited right now? I guess let's talk about the business side of things.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Let's talk about whatever.
Whatever.
You tell me.
Whatever. Okay, I tell you. So I feel like with the business, there's a lot of opportunity for us, at least for me, to bring some of the kind of the art to this business. And art meaning, we've had a couple, events where I've been able to teach, and I love teaching. I actually was a teacher way back when. And actually not too far from here in North Philly. Wow. And loved it. That was like one of the best 5 years of my life.
Yeah, it's an awesome profession.
Amazing. And I feel like that's one of the things that I really enjoy is teaching. And I also really love to dance. It's like one of my biggest passions. And I think I moved away from that a lot just because of life. Life, things happen. I married kids, so your focus has become a little different, right? Priorities are a little different. But I think here, what I'd really like to see and what gets me excited is like making this more of like an organization, like having like policies and procedures and like events and like just kind of being more behind the scenes and helping create something that may be a franchise at some point.
Right.
So being a part of something that like, okay, still really the vision is very, we're kind of living day to day, but we have a bigger picture, but I feel like I can see the picture from here on out. And if you start small, which is what I think, you start small and like you do the things, the correct things or those policies and procedures, and let's, everyone create a role, and this is your role and this is what you take care of. And if everybody understands that, that's how you create like a well-oiled machine, you know, and then like things start working out like amazingly. So I'm excited about